Now, I know I'm not just speaking for myself when I say we're all our own worst critic. I think that with only a handful of exceptions, this statement holds true for most musicians. I've been making beats and producing for over a decade now, and I've met some really good producers, really talented producers, and I met some producers that are kind of like early in the journey. And let me tell you that overthinking can be and is present no matter what level of music you get to. And this is bad across the board, especially when you're trying to be creative, because being creative and actually being good at being creative requires you to be in kind of like a flow state over a consistent period of time, stringing different ideas together and kind of molding them into a beautiful piece of music. And when you add overthinking into the mix, it kind of dampens and kind of minimizes and sometimes even completely discards any of those ideas that you might have had if you weren't overthinking. Yeah, honestly, I think this just stems from a common goal that we all have as creative people, to just be great in whatever we're doing. And yeah, that pressure that we put on ourselves kind of just adds more tension in each step of the creative process. And that in itself stops us from creating freely. We become self-critical. So if your self-criticism is almost like taking one step forward and two steps back, how do you stop? I think that overcoming self-criticism and overthinking with time can happen, but I can tell you from experience that it's a lonely road and sometimes it can take years of practice. So to help steer you in the right direction, I do think that there's certain things you can be made aware of that can kind of make this whole process a lot easier and a lot quicker for you. Now, I don't think this is going to benefit any of you if I tackle this as kind of like a list of talking points. So instead, I'm just going to be in my home studio cooking up from scratch, and I'm going to take you through my mental process as I start to make decisions. Let's just get started into this. Before I even start like making ideas, I like to just shop around and listen to some type beats, listen to some music that's gonna inspire like the chord progressions and just give the beat some direction. That way I'm like got an idea of like how I want this thing to sound. So I'm actually just gonna jump out of FL Studio and just run through some beats. Yeah, I'm liking those synths on top of that one. Nice amount of the bounce to this one too. I'm actually really liking the chord progression on this one, but I'm preferring like the drum bounce and just the overall like feel like sonically from the first one. So I might just try and hybrid these. So we'll just start things off with just a simple piano. I just got the, this is actually free, it's from Labs. It's the Intimate Grand Piano. We'll get the BPM. Yeah, around 140. And then yeah, I'm just gonna play some ideas and see what I can come up with. Yeah, I prefer this chord. So I'm in A minor, but this last chord, instead of making it a E minor, which will be in the scale, I'm just bringing the middle note up and it's making it like a major note. Adds a bit more tension, just gives it more of like a jazzy feel. One little extra step you can do just to keep spicing things up and keeping them like original is just mess with the voicing of these chords. So maybe I can bring these up an octave, bring these down, bring these bottom notes up an octave. I want the second chord to sound like it's going up, so I'm gonna bring this B note up, and then I might even bring the G note up, bring this A note up. So we just got a little bit of a, you know, a little bit of an upward movement. See how it just changes the feeling? I'm just going to paste this across. I feel like a standard 8-bar just isn't enough to keep the listener interested. So yeah, I like to sometimes just double up on that 8-bar, make it a 16, and then just go in and add like, you know, different stuff in the second section. The key with these passing notes is that you don't overcomplicate them. You just want to kind of sprinkle in some notes to help transition between each chord. You can just go on forever trying to get the perfect take, but at the end of the day, as long as the feeling's there, as long as you've got that initial feeling, then, you know, just ride with it. You might have to make some adjustments like I'm doing here, but, you know, once you've done that, you're good to go. So I'm going to clone this Labs bank. We'll find some more packs, a soft piano. Going to copy and paste. Just see how that sounds by itself. Kind of like this sound more than this one, so turn this one down a bit, bring this one out a bit more. So now let's just try this in a different key. We'll start in F minor to begin with. At this point, I'm really liking just the basis of this beat. I feel like we can add a lot of layers and textures to this to really kind of bring it to the next level. So the next thing, like my brain was just telling me, is that I can hear some drums like straight away on this. That's what I'm gonna do. I'm not gonna overthink this. Just start with the drums first, and then we can come back to the melodic side and just add things, you know, as and when we see fit. I think we'll start with a plenty stash kit. And then I'm gonna add this snare that I've been working on, this little secret snare that's coming in a new kit. It's like a 2025 drum kit that I'm gonna be dropping soon. Now, I know that sometimes finding the right information on YouTube when you're trying to improve at a certain skill can be kind of tricky. I mean, it's kind of hard to know what you need to learn before you even know yourself. So if you're trying to expand your skills as a producer and you want to work a little bit more closely with me, then just hit the first link in the description, answer a few quick questions, and I'll get back to you. But let's get back to this cook-up. Now, notice how I'm just keeping this snare super simple. What I like to do with my main percussion is stack it up quite a lot and then fill certain pockets with, like, I don't know, like filler sounds. So I'm going to come in, just add some like supplementary snare. Yeah, it's nice. A little double hit. And maybe even go with a third snare. So like some are hitting on the same as the other snares, some aren't. Go with a simple open hat. No quantization needed, keeping things natural. Turn it down a little bit though. Alright, kick next. Now when it comes to kicks, I think the best thing you can do, and to be honest this rule kind of holds true no matter what sound you're adding in, be it melodically or percussion, play the beat as you're cycling through your sound. So in this case I'm going to cycle through some kicks and then just see which one suits this beat the best. Okay, one sounding kind of nice. Number one, crank this up. And then yeah, I'm just going to program in a nice drum bounce that, I don't know, just sounds nice with the idea we've got so far. It's nothing too crazy, it's just there to kind of just give me some rhythm, because now my thought pattern is going towards like, okay, what's the bass pattern going to sound like in this beat? In my head I've got like a few options that I like to think of. Am I going to go with an 808, guitar bass, a synth bass, or just like a smooth kind of sub bass? To be honest, there's no wrong answer in this. Again, overthinking in this process can just really muddy up your idea. So I'm going to go with my first instinct, and that is to add a bass guitar. And let's go for a free one, why not? We'll go with flex. Okay, this one's nice and full. I don't claim to be an amazing sound engineer, but I've got somewhat of a trained ear, just sheerly through doing reps of making, you know, instrumental after instrumental. But I can clearly hear that this preset is exactly what I'm kind of looking for. I needed a nice, thick, full low end. I want this to sound like it's really filling out the beat. Compared to something like, you know, this one. That low end sounds like it's been contained. This one's just like, boom, I'm just gonna be like as full as possible. So yeah, found it, I like it, let's just roll with it. Ah, come on. Right now, I'm feeling like we are still a little bit empty. You know, as I said, this is kind of like a low energy section. And it's by just layering on certain phrases, nice top lines. We've got the foundation. Now I'm in my head, I'm like, okay, now I need to give it character. I need to give it my unique sound. Right now, I'm feeling like I can hear a vocal chop. I normally use splice, but I'm gonna mix it up today. I'm gonna go with arcade, go R&B, and then we'll go vocal. Yeah, this is kind of hard. I think pitched up a whole octave, make it squeaky. Now it's just a case of auditioning each of these vocal chops, seeing, you know, what pockets they sound cool in. And then at that point, we'll just record some in, and then we can maybe move on to some extra stuff, which I'll get into in a second. Oh, that's kind of nice. Oh, that last key needs to be changed. I like to kind of keep these repetitive. I don't want to take too much distraction away from, you know, an artist like trying to think of some lyrics to this. If I go too crazy and just go like absolutely berserk with these vocal chops, then you are just kind of filling out too many pockets. So yeah, let's bring that across, and then here we can just add some variation. Oh, a little bit of jerk. Okay, that's kind of cool. I like that, man. That sounds kind of cool. We'll just bounce these out. Now we've got this bounced out, we've got a little bit more flexibility to just really affect this even more. One thing that I like to try out, it doesn't always work, but it's, you know, it's always worth trying out, is switching the sample to Stretch Pro and then just playing with the formant down here. See if it sounds nicer with like more of a squeaky pitched up kind of formant, or more of like a lower tone. So yeah, much squeakier now. Yeah, it just needed a little bit more high pitch, sort of like squeaky format to it. Still introduces a bit too much high end, so I'm gonna EQ those out. A bit of reverb. Got my main idea with the vocal chops. Now, like my ear's telling me, okay, I might have gone a little bit too over the top with them. You know, there's more spaces that I can fill with different textures, different sounds. Yeah, just cutting out little sections that I think, you know, we can fill in with different sounds. Yeah, it's a bit cleaner with the gap there. Get rid of that second part here. The little thing right here, I don't like that. Getting that part I'm not too keen on. I like this part, but I think it'd be better off if it was at the end. It sounds like it's kind of leading somewhere else. So I'm liking how that sounds. Now, my next move is just like a top line. Again, I'm just going with like my first gut. You know, sometimes I might think like a phrase might sound cool in this, but right now for this beat, I'm thinking like a top line. Yeah, we'll go with something synthy, I think. Switch up the sonics. Okay, just go and expand. Maybe just a simple saw could work. Yeah, I like this. That's just adding a nice bit of tension that I'm liking, so we can use that as like the centerpiece of this lead that I want to add, and then we can dance around that, you know, adding some, you know, some little notes here and there. Up an octave. A little trick for simple melodies like this one is always try and think, okay, is it okay like this, or do I need to spice this up and add more movement to it with some effects? Normally the answer is yes. If it's a simple melody like this and a simple kind of sound, like a simple preset, then normally the answer is yes. I'm going to come in with some Pancake. This is just a cool plugin for moving the melody left to right in the speakers. Max it out, you can hear it. Just bring that mix back a little bit. Some reverb. Some EQ. One last thing that I'm hearing that should have really come before the reverb, and this is important as well, the order of your effects. So basically your reverb and like the delays, those kind of things, they want to kind of come more towards the end. So I'm just going to create a little gap right here, and I'm going to add just a plugin that's going to mess up the sound a little bit. It's just going to add some like random artifacts to it. I'm going to come in with this plugin called Auto Chroma. Just to give you guys like an ear on it, I'll mute everything. I'll just play this pattern just so you guys can hear what it's doing. I mean, that sounds kind of cool. Sounds more
smeared out now, just
pause. Sounds a little bit more subtle right now. Just more interesting, you know, for the most part. Bring the piano back. Okay, I was wrong. Yeah, we'll just try a different preset. I mean, that's kind of cool. Just warping the sound a little bit. Just pull the mix back a bit on it. Still missing a bit of that character, so we'll try a different plugin like Portal. Not a different plugin, an additional plugin. Got some cool presets in my my Zenith Portal bank. See, that's a bit nicer now. See, but now it's more, I don't know, it just gives it more, just more something, I don't know, more sauce. So we got a nice little lead, but now I just think a couple more phrases, find some phrases that works for this. So I'm liking the sound of this King one. Again, they're not super prominent sounds. I'm just thinking I need something in there to just add more texture, just add more character to it, and phrases are a really easy way to do that. You hear that sort of top end it's giving it now? And right here, let's see how this one sounds. Nice and subtle, but yeah, it's just there in the background, you know, adding some character to it. Yeah, cool. And then we'll just put both of these onto the same mixer. Just make sure they're in a nice, tight frequency space. So we'll just cut some of that. A little bit of the highs we'll cut. Tiny bit of reverb. Out in stereo, bring that really wide. Okay, cool. And then, yeah, just some transitional sounds like I mentioned earlier. That's the only thing I'm really hearing melodically now. And the key here is to not be overthinking. There's a difference between adding lots of layers and making things kind of intricate, over stopping and starting and just switching sounds out constantly and just running through endless presets. Let's go in and we'll find another little sound that we like the sound of. I'm gonna come into like a little one-shot kit of mine, a Mellotron preset kit that I made. Flute sounds. All I'm thinking with this flute is just a couple of notes at the end of each 4-bar, or even maybe just at the end of each 8-bar, just to kind of let the listener know, like, okay, we're going to be going somewhere with this. Like, just give some ear candy to the listener and just let them know that something's coming. It's just going to be a few notes. Okay, I'm not too keen on the sound. Maybe an organ could work. Let's try that. Maybe we'll glide this note here. But I just want it to glide from these two notes, so I'm just gonna switch the color of these. Make this one slide. I like the pattern now, but I'm not liking the church organ. Let's try a pad. Yeah, that's more subtle, that's what we need. And we're just gonna have literally just that tiny little section right here, just repeat every 8-bar. In this little pocket, similar to this pocket, I just want another sound, again, just another subtle sound to keep things moving. Now, the reason why I'm not just using the same sound is just to add variation. That's all I'm thinking in this. Keep it very similar, so we're just gonna copy and paste the exact same pattern, but we'll move it to the end. And then I'm just gonna maybe mess with the keys, maybe Bring this back a little bit like here. Different sound. Change the color of this one so it doesn't bend with the other one. Cool, man. And then yeah, just wash it out with some reverb. If you haven't told by now, reverb is a big part of my workflow. And it's just something that adds atmosphere, just adds a bit more of a room to it. But again, just subtle and with intent. Still not too happy with the sound, so again, let's just keep going. This soft pluck. Back to the first one shot that we had, the first filler sound. Again, we just want that to sound more weird and just kind of messed up and mangled, so we'll go with some more portal. That's kind of fire straight off the bat, like that. With these presets, I'm really not trying to cycle through for too long. I just want to find something that fits the vibe. As soon as I've achieved that, then I can move on. I have just heard one extra thing now that's really standing out to me, and it's just missing a guitar. It's just missing another main piece to the melody. Got this cool one in Contact. It's called the Evolution Hollywood Blues. A really nice kind of full sounding guitar. Let's just do this piece by piece. Let's do that section first. Duplicate this across. And that last part right here. Sweet. Tiny bit of process into this guitar. It's a really good plugin that I like to use on my guitars called the Archetype Corey Wong. Really good just for making it sound more authentic. It's like basically like an emulated guitar amp. I like to go with this preset. It's called Clean as a Whistle. Turn it to stereo. A little bit of reverb. It's not sitting quite how I want it. I think it's a little bit too invasive. It's kind of almost throwing off the bounce. So I'm gonna hold on to it, but we're gonna just manipulate it in a way that allows it to sit a bit cleaner in the mix. One little trick that I like to try with my guitars is coming into the waveform, pitching it up a whole octave, and then reversing it. And then we're just gonna come into the mixer and just add some like heavy reverb. This kind of makes the guitar sound almost more like a pad as opposed to an actual guitar. So I'll just solo it so you guys can hear what this is gonna be doing. Add some EQ to that. So you see how it's just kind of constantly playing right now? I don't want that. I want to treat this more as like, almost like a vocal chop where we've got like, you know, certain gaps in there. So let's go into this with the same mindset of just finding some pockets that's going to work for it. So I don't like the first part. Let's cut that out. Bring this over a little bit. Chop this section out. Use that as like a riser, this little section here. I might find a different part. I feel like that kind of just conflicts a little bit with the chord progression, so I'll just bring it in, try this section. Yeah, that's kind of nice, bit more soul. I like that. Actually, cool little idea. We'll try some gross beat, give it some rhythm, you know, why not? That's kind of cool. We'll just turn the mix down on it. Yeah, I think we're there, man. One last thing that I'm gonna do with the melody is play with the pitch of the entire melody. That's where a lot of people fall down. They'll make part of a beat, but it's been looping for so long to the point where like they're getting bored of it. If you're tired of hearing the same thing over and over, then simply just changing the key of the whole melody can really just like, okay, like bring things up and keep things fresh. Let's just get all of these elements. These are all melodic elements, and we're just gonna run them through one bus, this melody bus. Just gonna bring in this plugin right here. Yeah, I'm really liking it down three semitones, sounds real nice. So we'll just roll with that. We're now in D minor, so I'm just gonna bring that bass down to D minor 2. Okay, cool. And then at this point, I can just go in and really kind of finalize the drums. The same sort of mindset with the melody I do with the drums. Keep things moving, try not to like dawdle too much on certain sounds. You know, I'm really focusing on the end goal instead of like very minute details. The bounce is kind of simple right now. We just got a little two-step. It's kind of a go-to, but I like to just do a little bit more with my hi-hats. In this instance, I'm just gonna turn my grid to a third step. This is just gonna give it more of a triplet bounce, and then just make some cuts. You know, just randomly, I'm not sort of like doing this with any sort of intention. I'm just trying to hear where the bounce is going. But normally these little spots right here, just before the snares, just before the beginning of a new bar, they're normally good places to add little chops in here and there. Or add gaps in, you know, you can just take it out, like this bit right here. Just adds more to it. I'm liking it and I'm feeling it more. So I'm not gonna do too much more with it. Kind of like
Hi-hat gods. Just kidding.
But yeah, cool, man. Now let's just go in, see if we can squeeze in some perks here and there just to add some more feel to it, more swing. That'll sound cool at the end. Let's just bring that in here. At the end of the 4-bar. And these are almost complementing the snare. Like, notice how I'm not trying to make these perks be the forefront. The main bounce is that snare and just chilled hi-hat bounce with the open hats. The perks are just really here to, I guess, just sonically add something else, you know? This is a cool perk right here. We'll try a different kit now. I like to just cycle through certain kits as well, just to, you know, keep things unique. We'll go back to the Zenith kit. This could be cool, man. This jibber perk. Could be like that. Just very consistent. Pitch it down a little bit, turn it down a little bit, and then also add some swing to it. So I'm going to come into this wrench style, turn the shift knob up. Push it back up a little bit. Turn it down. So yeah, all of these little perks, man, I'm just thinking in my head, like, I want to accumulate a bunch of different sounds and sonics to just really just add more swing to this. If we mute all of these perks, it's okay. But when you bring everything else back, very soul sounds, but they're just kind of bringing it a little bit more alive, you know? We could also just pan some of these to the left, to the right. Pretty much finished with all the elements that I need in this beat. Now I'm at the point where I'm like, I need to arrange this into an entire song. There is maybe some instances where we can add more sounds, like switching out the bass, switching out maybe some melodic sounds here and there, but that's kind of like a thing that will pop into my head as I'm arranging the song. I kind of need to hear where the beat's going, and then that can kind of dictate whether or not I need to make those changes. So let's get into the arrangement, man. I'm just gonna take out this whole drum pattern. I'm into pattern 1, split this one up. Gonna bring all of these elements into our arrangement separately, just so we've got full control, and then we're going to bring the drum pattern in underneath. So in terms of like a visual, you can do this however you like. I prefer to have all my melodic elements at the top of the screen. Next up, I like to add my bass and my kick. So like my low end, this is my bass line right here. Move everything down, a little gap in between, just visually I can see it a little bit clearer. And then I'll bring my kick underneath there. Again, just a little bit of a gap. So I've got melodic, bass, and then all my percussion here as well. We're pretty much good to go. So I'm gonna just figure out how I want to begin this beat. There is kind of like a certain structure that just makes things easier, but within that structure you can be a bit more creative and, you know, like add certain things that you might not add in different beats. So I want the energy to kind of come in straight away with this. It's quite mellow with the melody. I want the drums to really punch through it and grab your attention from the off. I'm gonna bring the bass line out. I'm gonna keep the vocal chop in. I'm gonna take out this lead. Maybe I'll take out these phrases as well, and let's see how that sounds. Nice and open, cool build up. And then right here, maybe we can add a little bit of a, you know, a breathe-in space for the drums, almost just to let the listener know that, like, you know, something's going to come in. There's going to be like a bass come in, or, you know, more melodic elements, and that's going to serve as a nice intro. Like, I don't like to overcomplicate these things too much. So yeah, this is gonna be my hook right now. Like, I like how that drops. I'm thinking this could be maybe a 16 bar hook. Let's bring all of these melodic elements across. Bring these across. And then we'll bring this lead across. And what we'll do is bring the low lead in to begin with, because then there's gonna be more energy here. Keep those pads in. Bring these across, bring all of these drums across. The only sort of variation we've got right here is the fact that this lead goes up an octave, so it just kind of gives a bit more energy. And then we've also got like the switch up here with the phrases that we added earlier. Yeah, there we go. I don't like that the lead comes in straight away, so I'm just going to introduce that lead a 4 bar deep into the hook. Sometimes it's nice to introduce certain sounds like not on the 1 every time. You can, you know, bring it in on the 4, you can bring it in here, just wherever you feel fits best. And that's normally a good way to go about it. So let's try that and we'll fade it in. So we're slowly introducing the sound. Yeah, there we go. Let's add a pause to these drums too. I really like how it dies down here, like almost by accident it loops nice, so I like that for the verse. So let's kind of replicate what we have in this section. Let's replicate that over here as well. Now here's actually a turning point. We can actually do one of two things. We can just roll with the initial bass that we had, or we can go one step further and just really add some variation to the low end of this beat by just switching out the bass for something else, like an 808 or a synth bass. I'm leaning more towards an 808. This one's got more oomph to it, so we'll go with that one. We'll take the MIDI pattern from the bass and just duplicate that over, and then we'll come up with some kind of bounce. Bum, bum. 2 high ones. Yeah, hard. I like the bounce, but let's see if it actually works with the bass. You know, it's all good and well having a really nice 808 pattern. If it doesn't link well with the initial bass that we have, then it's not gonna work. We're just gonna have to roll with the initial bass. Let's see what that sounds like. It's nice, man, it works. Bring that kick back in here, all the other drums. Bring this vocal in here. Also bring the guitar phrase across. Also keep passing notes that we added earlier too. And then let's reintroduce a phrase too. So yeah, we're building up some more tension here, like we're kind of working towards something now. Like in my head, I'm thinking, okay, at some point, we're gonna have to build back up to a hook. That's what's gonna be the next 8 bar. My favorite way to kind of do that is almost bring like everything back in, and then we'll switch back to the guitar bass, and we'll just cut the 808 here. And at this point, we can just loop everything across. So I can just take this entire section and just duplicate that across. So we have 2 hooks, 2 verses, and then a little outro. But there is like one extra sort of thing on my checklist, I guess, of things to add to a beat that can really bring it to a next level. And that thing is adding transitions and risers. Now, this isn't always essential. A lot of people get this confused. You don't always have to add riser sound effects. The only time when I think they're essential is when you have a really open beat, really simple melodic elements. In the case of this beat, we are quite busy. You know, we've got a lot of sounds that can actually act as transitions for us. So in my head, I really like the spacing at the end of these 8 bars. So I don't really want to keep filling out the gaps and filling up too many pockets to the point where it's overproduced. So we're just going to leave it. Make life easy for ourselves. We're going to just grab everything that we have up to the hook, bring that across, and then we can just add a little outro right here. I'm just going to bring the intro across. That's gonna be my beat. Just have it end here, just cut out completely.